Hello, welcome to Legacy. I'm LolaThompson, and I have two guests today with me. We're going to be talking about leaving a legacy and what 50 years ago meant to us. So we're going to go around the table. We're going to have conversations about leaving a legacy for our family to remember and our friends. And we want to be able to tell our story. We don't want anyone else to tell our story. So the best way to do that is to have a conversation. So I have Johnny Wooten, and I just found out his middle name is Arthur, Mr. Johnny Wooten the Maestro, and Miss Linda Ebron Ellaby with us. And we got a little gap in the age group here, but we're going to get perspectives from all three of us today as we have conversations about 50 years ago in the city of Greenville and the county of Pitt. Mr. Johnny Wooten, can you say hello to our audience?
Hello, everybody. It's so good to be here, and hope we all will have a wonderful time.
Yes. And Mr. Johnny Wooten has always been one of these cool dudes to me. He's been a teacher, band teacher at CMF High School, but I always had a respect for him. He was like a part of the gang or something. So he's still chilling and looking good at I don't know what age this is now. 88? Oh boy.
No.
What? What is it?
87.
87. Don't put no more than you can bear.
That's right.
Okay, we got you. And then Miss Ebron is here, Ellaby, with us. And then you want to just say hello to our listening audience today.
Well, hello, audience. Hailing from Greenville and living in Fayetteville now since 1985, I believe.
Yes. And Linda, we commend you because you drove here today from Fayetteville to be on the program.
Yes.
And we thank you for coming. And you got up kind of early to get here.
Thank you.
And you made it. That's commitment. So we just want to have a conversation. Mr. Wooten, tell us something about yourself. I found out something this morning that you grew up here in Greenville. Tell us about Greenville growing up here.
Yes, I grew up here in Greenville. This is home.
Okay.
I was educated in Greenville.
Okay.
I only left when I went to college, North Carolina Central and Durham,
Okay.
and all the other times and examples, I've been right here. Some folk won't let me leave. They tell me don't go nowhere no more. But I'm here. I've been here for quite some time, and I have enjoyed it.
Okay. And you've been really a big piece of equipment here in Greenville, North Carolina. You've been a big piece of equipment here.
Oh, is that what I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And we appreciate all your contributions to the city and all what you've done with the Epps High Alumni Association and the reunion. It's because of you that we have the parade, I understand, each year, and you still had some of the marching bulldogs in the parade, and you did a lot of good things. Linda, you were in the band with Mr. Wooten, is that correct?
Oh, yes. I started with him in 7th grade. I played flute.
Okay.
But also, I knew Mr. Wooten before 7th grade because he was the music minister at York Memorial AME Zion Church, where we spent a lot of years together in the choir.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And taking pictures, I guess that's one of the things that he and I have in common. We started out with taking lots of pictures, and I was in a few of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can remember some of his shots in the band room.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Mr. Wooten, what inspired you to become a music
Beg pardon?
teacher? What inspired you to become a music teacher?
5 years?
Yeah, music teacher.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. What inspired you?
Oh. Well, growing up. When I was growing up, my grandmother was entertaining some of the churches down at Sycamore Hill, the clubs. And some Sunday afternoons, they would meet there. And in the hallway of the house, our house, we had an organ. And I started to just picking and playing music and so forth until it got a little satisfactorily, and that's what inspired me. Plus, there was a lot of things around me that was happening. The minstrel shows, the radio shows, the TV shows. And so Papa Miles, you remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We all teamed up and we came through the high school with music all around us.
Okay. All right. And so you kind of taught yourself how to play?
So I got to a certain point. My music teacher was Lester Barrett. Do you remember him?
Lester Barrett.
he
Might
was-
be my relative.
Oh, really?
I'm a
Okay.
Barrett. I don't know.
He was like me,
Okay.
couldn't see
Okay.
at all. My blindness has come within a year and a half. But all of this is added up, and there was Stevie Wonder back there and
Right.
all that other crowd. I went around copying after folk and so forth until I got something going myself, and I just kept it on.
Well, you know, we wanted to interview teachers to kind of get your life and what. I've learned some new things about you today that you grew up in Greenville. I never knew that. What part of town did you grow up in?
Well, this part of town we call Perkintown.
Perkin?
Perkintown, it's, let me see, just off of 5th Street, McKinley Avenue.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
I lived on McKinley Avenue, and basically that was my home address. But during the school days, I lived in Riverdale. What, you remember the name?
Yeah. Riverdale.
Riverdale.
Yes,
I'm
I
from
lived in.
Riverdale.
I lived
Yeah.
in Riverdale.
Close to Epps Park. Then that you.
Yep, I remember Epps Park. We
Okay.
lived over there too.
I guess I was a nomad.
Yeah.
I wandering all over town.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did too.
Yes.
Wandered all over. But one thing about it was a small area,
Right.
so they had a couple of streets named Park or something, a certain division, I guess, of Greenville.
Yeah, that was Davenport Street.
Yes.
I lived on Davenport.
I can't think.
Bancroft Avenue.
Battle.
That was the band that built my house, Bancroft, right?
Okay.
Lot of other folk I can't. And you remember McDonalds Street?
McDonalds Street, I certainly do. And then I understand Miss Jones was telling me that her husband built some of those houses around in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. Her father built some of those houses around
Which
there.
house?
Around in Bancroft and in that area.
Oh, okay. He
Yeah.
built mine.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
This is wonderful. You know, that's as we're sharing our stories, we're finding out a lot of information about Greenville and the people here. Linda, what do you remember being here? What are some exciting pieces growing up in Greenville that stands out in your mind?
Are you talking to me?
I was talking to Linda this
Oh,
time.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Wooten.
Excuse me, Linda.
That's
I'm
all
so
right.
sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna let you have it. I yield to my elders.
Yes.
But yes, I went to Catholic school where a lot of us were at Catholic school. And in Catholic school, we were in the neighborhood. I don't know what they call the neighborhood that was around the Catholic school, but we all played
see.
together whether we lived there or not
Right.
in the playground there. And a lot of events happened with the Catholic school and the rectory and the bingo and the rummage sales and things. So, you know, we gathered a lot of people from, what was it, from the river, from 4th Street, Ford, Hudson,
Ward
5th Street, Ward, all those streets around. And then, of course, Contentney all the way down to Stutt Street. And,
Oh, yeah.
Steps.
you know, Stutt's right down by the river.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the Hunlow store. You remember that?
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
So, yes. So before you said you came from the Catholic school. What year did you go to Rose High School with us?
Okay, I went to Catholic school through the 6th grade, 1st through the 6th grade. And then I transitioned to EPS in the 7th grade.
Okay.
And from 7 to 10, I was at EPS. And then I went to Rose in the 11th grade.
So, you
So
went
the
ahead
year
of us.
before, everybody was kind of forced to go. I was there, and so I had some experiences that I shared as a front runner that helped break down some walls or barriers before the crowd got there. But then that had a whole new set of challenges on its own.
Okay, let's talk about some of those challenges.
Oh boy. The first parts were getting integrated. You know, of course, blacks in an all-white school, you know, they challenge you racially, and you begin to learn how to deal with racism your way. And now, I've always been a person that, you know, it didn't matter. I played with whites at Catholic school. I played with whites in the neighborhood, so I was already there. And so playing was not a problem. But then when you come to school, I was always kind of intimidated. I thought they knew more than I did, you know. But that was a thing that I learned, that they didn't know more. They just talked more. I was a quiet person back then. I probably didn't say 10 words in a day's time some days. But then when I did start talking, I just went, you know, I was like motor mouth. I was wide open. Yeah. And I began to learn that there were some differences, but that they weren't necessarily smarter than me. They didn't necessarily have more than me, because there were some real poor in our neighborhoods and around the school. And there were some who, you know, were doing okay. Mm-hmm. And the challenges when I got into Rose was that one of the young men one day was going around chatting with his buddies and laughing and talking, look at Darky. And he said, hello, Darky. And I said, hello. You know, because to me, I am darker than he was, so I didn't allow Darky to define me and to irritate me. It didn't bother me, because, you know, he was saying something that was true, even though he was saying it for a negative reason. And so I was the kind of person that I could see both sides of it and just let it fly off my back. And so when the schools transitioned the following year, then I found that even some of my close friends, I'll just put it that way, were challenged by my attitude. They wanted me to express more of a militant attitude towards whites, and I couldn't go there with them, and so they became angry with me. And there were days when they gave me more of a problem than the whites did, because they wanted me to be in agreement with them against what was happening. It wasn't bothering me that we were in the new neighborhood. It wasn't bothering me that we were forced to come. Sometimes you're forced to make a move in life, and you're not always ready for it, but you know, God is sometimes forcing us to make a move, and we're not ready for it, but we have to move on with it, and we have to adjust. And so I found it easy to adjust.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Wooten, this is on you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the question to you, can you remember the climate back then, the environment when we had to integrate?
It was sort of rough.
It was kind of rough. Okay.
From the west side.
Okay.
Well, the whole thing came from the school burning down.
Okay.
When the school was on fire that night, I was standing in front of Will's Chapel, and I can't see or understand why I was standing 2 blocks down from the fire. Mm-hmm. And then they said, you got to get out of the way, and noted, you know, for this and noted for that. And so I said, well, Just I'll talk some more. And there were some kids standing on the side of the street that says, "Hey, teach, to the fire. We supposed to have a test tomorrow." And that was it. Yeah,
Test tomorrow.
Test. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that was a thing that kind of set some of the crowd standing off over by the tea room, and they were making a fun about the school burning down. But anyway, the fire was so dramatic, and everybody was standing on the street until they forgot all integration facts and talks and stuff like that, and got their mind over, well, we ain't going over there. And so we got it cooled down. It was kind of rough at first, and sometimes everybody somewhat figured that everybody on the left side, left side, Linda, right side, left side.
The other side.
Other side.
There you go.
Yeah, on the other side of town, they I ain't for it, and I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
And some made a decision right then and there at the fire. I ain't going over. That's when this subject real got started and got sort of heated. Some of this started at the fire.
Started right at the fire. The heat started at the fire.
And Linda, were you in the band?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. You and
You would never let me in the band. I had to be a cheerleader.
cheerleaders.
You wouldn't let me play because I couldn't play.
It was really, well,
I used to love to hang out in there in the band room though.
but it was so small. Now, I got my thing at the faculty, in the faculty meeting, while we were planning for the last parade, or, it was the last parade for the school, and we had to go, like or don't like.
You had to go over.
Had to go, get out, we got to go. And so, after fire somewhat cooled down, and tempers and flares kind of cooled down. And then we still had this thing about, I ain't going over there. Now, I think the one thing that attributed to the cooling down was sports.
Okay.
The football team. And there were some students on our side of the town who were excellent in sports.
Yes.
And that kind of opened the door, says, come on in. But as we were, the planning session for the changeover, they said that, Wooten, what y'all gonna do? I said, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And somebody in the faculty meeting got started. Well, number one, they asked the question, hey, what you gonna do? I said, number one, I gave them an outline of the last parade.
Okay.
And I expressed this to them in the faculty meeting. And I said, we're going to have a parade, and we're going to have a big time. And Rose High Band had decided to come. And somebody said, well, why do you want to go over there? And that's where I got my start at the faculty. I got my start at shooting back at the faculty meeting about Rose coming over there, going to the parade. So there was a little scrape verbally after that, but that's how I got started. Now, some of the teachers, as I said, didn't want to, I ain't in it,
Right.
want to keep their character in line.
Right.
So I said, well, hang on and see.
Right.
But after those football games, after the games were over, the violence was rough.
Yeah. It used to be a lot of fighting After
a lot
those
of
games.
fighting. Yeah.
Yes, it was. So you actually were a band instructor at Rose High School
Yes.
during that 69, 70 year.
Yes.
Okay.
And that tempered off the thing when the majorettes are all lining up for the parade. And no, this was the homecoming parade. It all lined up for the parade. And one of the majorettes from our side, Mr. Wooten, where are flowers? I said, what are flowers? Look at them children up there. They got flowers on. The majorettes had corsages.
Oh, really?
And we didn't have any folk from outside. And that started a little stir before the parade, during the parade, and after the parade. But I got the faculty meeting again and expressed my coup, so to speak. John Taylor was presiding at the meeting, and he gave me all the respect and chances to speak because the other folk were trying to speak over him. And he was one of the top chairmen on the Board of Education.
Okay.
So it has been spread all around. There are some good points, there are some bad points. But after them football games, you better get out the way.
You better get out the way.
You better get out the way. You better move. The police and I had a confrontation. We went somewhere, and the band was in the stands. We were at someplace out town, and we were following the band. And so I was on the outside of the gate. I went back to the bus to get something. So there were some servicemen standing out there, and they saw me. Hey, you! Hey, where you going? I said, beg pardon? Where you going? I said, I'm going to get. You the band teacher? I said, yes. If you ain't the band teacher, where your suit at? Everybody else got on suits but you. And by that time, one of the guys in the band, hey, Mr. Wooten, he came to the fence. Hey, Mr. Wooten, I got to get something off the bus. And the other guys heard it, and then they simmered down. I says, now, let me by and let me pass. It had a lot of memories.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remember to the day I die. And just like the folks in church, I'm going to tell it wherever I go.
Tell
Okay.
it. And
Yeah,
listen, I understand you have a poem that you have written and you
Yes.
want to share with us today. Why don't you give it to us now?
This is a poem. Well, I've been doing a lot of things around the house. I've been practicing, playing, and this. And I said, well, I can write me a little poem. It's a poem about me asking God for something. And it went like this. Open my eyes so I may see. Groups and explorations there for me. I am blind and I cannot see, and I need a fierce blessing from thee. I do not know how long it will be, so send some showers down on me. Lord, oh Lord, please let me see your showers of blessings falling down on me. That's just a little prayer that I made, and I'm doing a lot of stuff around the house, in the way, out the way. I got to basically learn my way around the house again. I've been blind about almost a year and a half, and this is detrimental to some of the things that I have been doing, some of the things I want to do, and so. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And I said I was going to be sure to express this at, Linda, what's the name of your show?
Legacy?
Legacy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was going to share this with somebody, if she would let me.
And you know, we got to let you because you're an old man. We got to respect you and move on out the way.
Old man. Who's old? An old man? Where
is he?
I know you look very good, and we really want to say thank you for all the years that you have contributed.
Yes.
And all the things that you've done, and the great contribution. It's my understanding back in the 60s that you were there and had the band there at downtown when the President Kennedy came through Greenville.
Yes.
How did we get to keep the uniform? I know we have a uniform on display of the very uniform that you had on when he came. Is that correct? In the Heritage Center.
Oh, no, I was on the committee.
Okay.
We had a committee, the Bachelor Benedict Committee, our social club, to purchase 80 band uniforms for the band. And they're the best band uniforms I've ever seen, but I'm somewhat puzzled because after we left the school and everything was all cleaned out, I never saw them again.
Really?
Now I have my band uniform, Kemp Lee's hat, Phyllis Tash band uniform. I don't know what the rest are. I never seen it. Nobody told me anything. So I said, I'll just let it alone. Some kids might have taken them for souvenirs, but I said I'm gonna leave that alone. But we do have my uniform, a band uniform, a hat, and we have the cape. We have had 3 sets of uniforms, and this last set was the best looking set that I have seen. In the first homecoming that Glenn had in Snow Hill, we were in the East Carolina homecoming parade.
Okay.
And Glenn from Snow Hill, his band came in first, and we came in second. Well, I was real proud of that because there were a lot of parade bands in the parade on that day. And I was just flirting around with joy.
Yeah, I remember getting on 5 Point when you had the parades.
Oh,
Boy,
yes.
that band with the Bulldogs would show off on 5 Point. Everybody would.
Tojo had it knocked out.
Yes,
Tojo got there during the parade, laid the flag on the ground, and doing the shuffle around.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Tojo.
the kids from the college, schools, spectators, all of them got in the street with Tojo. And then the band, we did a band dance at one of the games, and we pulled that out. We used what was called the shuffle bug.
All right, the shuffle bug.
Yeah, that was number by those Daddy Grace folk from Norfolk. And we played everybody's out in the street. Let me see, that was Snow Hill, that was Frank Norris and his crowd, that was Willie Morris and his crowd. And, well, it looked like there was no integration. Everybody was
out there.
You know, centered around doing their best. After we got encouragement from coming through the block on the homecoming parade, we got Hank Man and all his guys laying on the taxi stand. Hey, Mr. Wooten, that girl ain't got no hair. How'd she get out there? She ain't got no legs either. You know, after we passed, we call that the reviewing stand.
That was the reviewing stand.
Pass and review.
Well, look, we have enjoyed you guys sharing your stories. Remember anything else right quick? We got about a minute or so. Anything you want to share with us before we go off the air?
Oh, I just think this is just such an awesome time. I look at Mr. Wooten and I look at how much I have in common with him, the photography, the music, and then look at poetry too, you know, because
that's right. You write poems.
I write poems. Yes, and I thank God for giving us those gifts and for stirring them up and for using them for such a time as this, that we may be able to help bring healing to people, even from those things that were yet unresolved from back then.
Right.
Yes.
And I know music can get you indoors. I remember being able to sing at an all-white club downtown. But, you know, wake up the next morning to go to school to hear people tell us to go home because they didn't want us. But I could understand my dad would say a song would get you through a door that nothing else will. So it's like,
yes.
sing, baby, sing, you know?
Yes.
And so I have learned that to sing because music will transcend anything, you know,
Yes.
to get to a people. Mr. Wooten, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure thing. My pleasure.
Yes, and thank you for the contributions you have made to the city.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Athea, for getting Mr. Wooten here, Linda, for driving such a long ways. And thank you for joining us on Legacy. We hope to see you next time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right.